All right, let's talk about something that I know haunts every single creative person out there. Why is it so ridiculously hard to finish the things we start? Today, we're going to dig into the science of that amazing initial spark. But more importantly, we're going to build a practical system to actually get you across that finish line. So let me ask you, does this sound familiar? Your hard drive is just a graveyard of great ideas, right? You get this brilliant concept for a book or an app, or maybe this incredible 3D model. You are so excited, you start off super strong, and then nothing. It just stalls. And that project gets dragged into a folder, joining, all the other half-finished ideas.
Look, if you're nodding your head right now, I want you to hear this. You are not alone. And this is not some kind of personal failing. It's not that you lack motivation or that your ideas are bad. The real reason most projects just fizzle out is because there's no system in place to push through that inevitable moment when the excitement just dips. Okay, so let's get into the science of it. To really solve this problem, we first have to understand what's going on in our brains, the chemistry that makes starting a new project feel so good. It all boils down to this really powerful psychological concept. So the term for this is limerence. Now, it was originally used to talk about romantic obsession, but honestly, it's the perfect way to describe that infatuation we get with a new creative idea. It's that feeling, right? That all-consuming buzz where the potential of the finished project feels way more exciting than the actual, work. Your brain is basically just high on what if. And this is where it gets really fascinating, because there are two totally different systems at play in our brain. Neuroscientists call them the wanting system and the liking system. Think of it this way. Wanting is the chase. It's that pre-goal feeling. It's fueled by dopamine and uncertainty, and it feels absolutely electric. But liking, that's the reward. It's what happens after you get the goal. It's calm, and it literally runs on a different brain circuit. The crazy thing is, our brains are wired to love the chase way more than they love the prize. And get this is wild. Research shows that dopamine, our motivation chemical, can spike up to 50% higher while we're pursuing a reward compared to when we actually get it. Let that sink in. The chase is literally, chemically, more stimulating to your brain than actually winning. And that brings us to the last piece of this psychological puzzle. It's called intermittent reinforcement. Just think about a slot machine. The reason it's so addictive is because it doesn't pay out every time. It's that unpredictability that gets you hooked. Well, a new project, it's the ultimate slot machine for our brains. Will this be a masterpiece? Will people love it? All that uncertainty keeps our dopamine system firing on all cylinders, making us just chase that next hit of novelty over and over again.
So, okay, we now know our brains are basically hardwired to love starting things and get bored halfway through. That's the bad news. The good news? We can totally build a system to fight back. We're talking about a framework designed to create and, more importantly, maintain momentum long after that first dopamine hit wears off. And this framework is built on 4 really simple but super powerful principles. Let's just walk through them: direction, inspiration, flow, and discipline. First up, direction. Vague goals are momentum killers. Seriously, I want to sculpt a creature is just too fuzzy. You need to be specific. So instead of that, your goal becomes something like, I'm going to create a sci-fi creature bust fully textured and rendered for my portfolio. See the difference? That sentence becomes your North Star. All right, next is inspiration. And this is way more than just throwing a bunch of random images on a Pinterest board that you never look at again. It's a 2-step thing. First, you have what's called free collection. Just gather anything that gets you excited, no rules. But then, after you've done a few sketches, you switch to intentional referencing. That's when you build a focused ecosystem of images that help you make real decisions about design, mood, and all the technical stuff. The third principle is flow. This is all about giving your project a rhythm. You take that massive, scary goal and you break it down into smaller, bite-sized chunks. You set realistic time budgets for each stage, and you schedule checkpoints, either to get feedback or just to step away and come back with fresh eyes. This creates a chain of little wins, which makes you feel like you're making progress, because you are. And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important principle of all: discipline. Because let's be honest, this is where most projects go to die. But here's the key. It's not about having superhuman willpower. It's about planning ahead for the parts of the project you know you're going to dread. This quote really hits it home. The fun, creative part, that's easy. It's the boring, tedious stuff, the mesh cleanup, Organizing files, UV mapping. That's the stuff that just silently sucks the life out of a project, while our brain is screaming at us to go find something new and shiny. So, how do you beat that feeling? It's actually pretty simple. 3 techniques. 1. Schedule the boring tasks in short, focused sessions. Think 30, maybe 45 minutes. 2. Lower the barrier to entry so it's ridiculously easy to start. And 3. Reward yourself for every small, consistent win. Okay, but what does lower the barrier actually mean in practice? It could be as simple as creating an empty folder structure like WIP, exports, references before you even do anything creative. That tiny act of organization just primes your brain. Or if a task feels absolutely massive, just commit to doing one tiny piece of it. That's it. And this is so powerful. You don't have to do all the UVs. Just do one UV island. You don't have to organize everything. Just create one empty folder. That tiny little action, it's often all you need to break that inertia and get the momentum going again.
And finally, the reward. This is where you get to hack your own brain. As soon as you finish that short, tedious session you scheduled, give yourself a small, immediate reward. Grab a coffee, go for a quick walk, watch a 5-minute funny video. You're creating a new feedback loop in your brain that says, finishing boring stuff actually feels good. Okay, so we've covered the why, the science, and the how, the system. Now let's pull it all together into a checklist, a real tool you can start using on your very next project, like today. So here you go, your 7-step momentum checklist. Notice how it starts with that 1-sentence finish line, and it ends with scheduling the boring stuff and setting up a reward. Everything we just talked about is right here. Organizing your references, blocking out time. This isn't about being rigid. It's about having a system that makes finishing feel like the natural outcome, not some rare miracle.
Because at the end of the day, momentum isn't magic. It's not something you find. It's something you build. It's a habit you practice. It's the system that will take you from that first exciting spark all the way to the deep, real satisfaction of a finished project. So, the only question left is, what are you going to finish next?